we really feel like it's time for gathering people to really understand what we are able to do for this and to provide a sense of community, a sense of strength, a sense of connection, and a sense of calm. That's why I'm doing this. I really just want to help myself and others feel grounded through this process. So who do you work with and how will they know if they're ready to work with you?
Great question. I work with healers, empaths, and seekers who know they're on a healing path. So it's not your first rodeo. You've already done things like, okay, I know about nutrition. I know a little bit about yoga stuff. Maybe I've done yoga teacher training. Maybe I've done some massage therapy. Maybe I'm a counselor. And I've done a shit ton of therapy. I know things in my mind, but I still feel like there's some trauma or stuckness stuck in my body. This is my jam. This is what I do. I teach people the ways to actually release that trauma from the system. So it's like 10 years of therapy in 2 minutes without having to talk about it.
I firmly believe that this year is not going to be, this isn't going to be the first thing that happens, the only thing that happens this year. We're embarking on a big change to our systems, I think. And that's been foreshadowed by a number of practitioners who have intuitive capabilities, and it's just not coincidental that so many people have into that. So, right, Leslie, what do you think?
I would say, I think anytime, the thing that I've been saying to people the most is, this is a big outer world and inner world question, that it really is a reminder in the spiritual sense that whenever shit is happening in the outer world, it's not really about the outer world. Like the inner world trumps every single time.
As you had said, Leslie, the outer world affairs that we're seeing right now are undoubtedly a reflection of the inner, long-standing turmoil, ignorance, elements that have been...
Right. And I don't even mean to say that this is necessarily a reflection, although I do think in general spiritual truth, as a spiritual guide, I'm always coaching people, your internal world is moving outward. The sort of mantra that we teach in one of my training programs is that life is coming from me, not at me. So that's one thing, but I don't want people to really take that as this is my fault.
It's not a
right.
fault.
Exactly. What we're really saying is that you can go through what I want people to take away in this calming way. Because what people want to know, in a results type way is, how do I feel calm even though it feels like shit is hitting the fan? And how do I support other people? So the confusion that can come is getting too thrown off by the outer world. And what I would ask people to take away from our talk together is that remembering that life is an inner world game. No matter what is happening on the outside, pandemics are not outside of God and the universe and the way of things. This is still a very big part of human experience. And, you had reached out to me after I sent one of those emails to my list of it is scary when we realize that things are out of our control and that potentially people are dying from sickness. But the truth is that every day things are out of our control and every day people are dying from sickness and illness. So even though this is a pandemic, it is affecting us as a collective in ways that we haven't experienced in our lifetimes. And this is still normal human experience, and normal human experience involves suffering and confusion and difficulty. And the remedy to that is an inner world solution of the way that we connect with ourselves, of the way that we understand the trickiness of how our minds work and how our mind-body connection works to feel more peaceful on the inside.
This makes a lot of sense. I love the way you're saying this. Thank you. So one of the things I loved about what you posted was that you were both providing a very tactile, physical, elemental, immune-enhancing protocol or list of suggestions. As well, you were providing the same sort of resilience energetically, emotionally. And that's really what I think our greatest contribution is at this point, is to really provide people with a sense of support and security, again, connectivity, groundedness on both the physical levels and on the internal level too.
Right. I love that you and I both have this, I think, unique and blessed position of holding both of those things, of medicine as a physical thing for your biological machine container, and the way that that is a container for your spirit and how your mind and body connect. Does it seem helpful to really talk about maybe a few things that people could do physically and energetically sort of to go through this time?
Yeah, I think that would be best. Let's talk about what people can do physically and energetically.
I mean, on top of, a lot of the things that are being recommended by the government and by WHO in terms of social distancing and hand washing and, coughing into your elbow instead of otherwise, I would say, I think you probably feel similar, and that I forget sometimes as a natural health provider that everybody doesn't have a pharmacy of 5 or 6 different natural herbal antibiotics, antivirals.
Yep.
And, so I've now had this conversation, almost a dozen times now with various people of coaching my mom of what to get from the grocery store. But in general, I think what everybody should have, in my house, obviously every natural medicine doctor has a pharmacy in their house, but I have a little bin or plastic drawer that has all of my get sick remedies. Yeah. I think that those things normally should be, 1, you should have 2 or 3 things that kill off the bad stuff. And then you also want to have a couple things that boost your immunity. So having a few things in each of those different camps of your home bucket that you can take preemptively, and then also take as you start to get symptoms every 4 hours, so that you're helping your body to be resilient. And yes. I've, a lot of studies on herbal medicine find that it doesn't necessarily help the viral shedding. It doesn't help the process as much, but it does shorten the course of when you're sick. It prevents it from going deeper. So that's kind of the game that we're playing. Yeah. Nobody's claiming that gargling with salt water is going to kill the coronavirus. That would be fake news, misinformation. But what we are saying is keeping your nasal passages, moist, and you're letting things get less of a foothold. There's so many things that we can be doing. Just steam inhalation of essential oils in general when you're sick is just, is it going to be the one thing that, we can't make claims of it kills the coronavirus or it does this, but is it going to be positive for your health? Is it going to boost your immunity? Is it going to maybe have a chance of decreasing the virus activity overall? But if it keeps you out of your hospital time and shortens duration, it's, these are big things that I am guilty of forgetting that everybody doesn't know them. One of the things that I think is also most helpful is I teach people sort of a way to ask their body. Some people know it as the body pendulum, or asking your body, holding a substance and seeing just very basically. There's a whole way that you can learn a deeper technique and things like that. And I have a 21-minute video on. I can give you the link to that if people wanted to train themselves a little bit. But it really helps to just on a baseline level use your brain for recommendations and other things. And then from those 5 or 6 things, really actually asking your body and seeing how your body responds on a physical level. This, I think, is one of the most powerful things that I wish everyone were equipped with, because you shouldn't just, it's not like playing the lottery that your body is magically going to know everything, but your body knows more than your brain. This has been researched and proven that your nervous system understands more than your thinking mind. And so by really sort of muscle testing your body, and I'm a big fan of muscle testing as a practitioner technique, but also on a basis for your own body. Oh, do I feel a positive, moving forward, or an expansive feeling in my body, or more contractive? So you can go into a health food store, it can be overwhelming at Natural Grocers or wherever, looking at a whole slew of supplements. But if you have your list and you can sort of tune in with your body, I think that's really key for having a bunch of stuff at home and then knowing what your body needs in every moment.
I love you saying that. And I absolutely want to see every household equipped with this, starting with Mama Bear, because she's kind of in control of the children and whatnot.
Right.
What I want to first say is when you're engaging in that practice, do it when you're not in a place of fear.
Right.
It's absolutely essential that you do this from a place of neutrality. Some people call it the 0 point field. You can access that, or, complete objectivity. And I don't have a sense of the guidelines or the steps. So if you have them, perhaps maybe just a rundown quick, that would be awesome. but using the body as a pendulum, yes. And if you were to think about kind of the biomechanics of how that works, there's argument there that there's almost an electrical or an electrostatic kind of communication happening, where kind of like magnetism, it's not though, but there's communication that's not seen, but it's absolutely physically there between the elements in the product and the elements in our system.
Right, like a resonance.
Well said. And one example of where we might see that resonance is in standing at the produce section of our grocery store. There are so many colors available to us when you look at the fruits and vegetables, you know, in the produce aisle. And if you can actually just take a moment and let yourself be drawn to certain things, chances are the nutrients in those products are going to be the ones that are most beneficial for you in this moment. It's really remarkable.
It's so fun.
It's awesome. And I know that women are way more poised now than they were 15 years ago to connect intuitively. And so I'm encouraging that, because I really want people to get facile with that. You know, here I am, a medical doctor, very versed in the physical, but it's so beyond what humanity, made up primarily of the small group of men, have been able to deduce with science and testing.
I guess the basic run through is for asking your body, and again, I'll give you the link for the more in-depth, it's like a 21-minute training, but the basic thing is get a baseline for your body. If for most people, this is easier to do standing because you can sort of feel your body more than sitting. So standing, you would simply out loud, because your brain pays more attention to what you're saying out loud than just what you're thinking in your mind. That's a different part of your technical mind-body system. So you're going to say out loud, body, please show me a yes. And then you're just going to notice what happens. You might feel, most people feel like a subtle moving forward, or maybe more expansive, or maybe a subtle feeling on the inside, depending on what your mind-body connection is currently like. And then you say,
like tingles might be a yes.
Yeah, could be, or like a feeling of movement that goes from one area of your body to another subtly. It usually has some motion to it. And then we say, thank you, body, please show me a no. And for a lot of people, like when I do it right now, my stomach kind of feels like a little tight and I have a little bit of a contractive feeling on a subtle level. So that's number one. And then we ask again, body, please show me a yes. Thank you. Body, please show me a no. Now, if you're, like you started to hint at, if you're in a strong emotional state, also maybe if you're dehydrated or you're what we call sometimes like switched, like if your mind-body system or your nervous system is just a little off for various reasons, if you will get a different answer the first time you do it and the second time you do it. So that's why we always start with getting a baseline, because if those two rounds don't match, now is not a good time to do this exercise, period. So you want to check that. And then when you have the substance, body, you're holding it, like whether it's a jar of like some sort of food thing or it's a supplement, just like holding it and saying out loud, body, how do I feel if I take this? And then you notice if you have a yes response or you have more of a no response. So remember that your body doesn't give a shit about should. So don't ask your body should questions, because that's a mind game. So instead, we just ask yes or no questions. How do I feel if I take this? How do I feel if I use this? And then you can sort of judge by what your body is drawn to. Now, caveat, you brought up really well. If you are in an emotional state, or you are, if it's a little bit charged, you can always add the preface. The hack for that, technically, is to say, body, if I had no fear, how do I feel if I take this? So just use the preface if you know. For me, that's often fear. If I had no fear, you know, is my partner going to get the coronavirus and die? You know, like sometimes if I'm asking a question that I know has a lot of invested emotional charge, I know I'm not likely to get an answer that's positive, but at least prefacing it with, if I had no fear, and then asking the question is one way to kind of up your game on that one.
I love that biohack. That's great. Thank you for that quick run tutorial on using your body as a pendulum. I think that's super valuable stuff, and there are lots of ways to use your body as a pendulum. So stay tuned.
Great. Yeah, I was so proud of my younger sister. She's really learned this technique from me over the past year and is really using it herself. And so she took that list that I had, she went to Whole Foods, she came back and she gave me a screenshot of like the 5 or 6 different things that she bought. And I was like, this is perfect, Cheryl. And so she had really just chosen an excellent array of things. And she's like, these are the ones that my body wanted. You know, the guy at the Whole Foods aisle helped me with these, but this is what my body said yes to. And I was like, I think that's perfect.
Leslie, I love your work. So can you please tell us where people can find you?
Right on. Well, I will give you the link to that 21-minute training if people want to take that. And you can find me at thebodywisdomacademy.com. bodywisdomacademy.com.
Sounds super high.
Yeah.
Accelerated. I like. Yes. I have loved every hour we've ever spent together and really loved that we got to work together. And I was a client and I was so moving so much, so fast with you, and very thankful that you're doing the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Bye, darling. Thank you.
See ya.